Good day, listeners. This is Ryan.
And this is Kyle.
And you're listening to
The Doctor's Watcher, the Game Players podcast about every episode of Doctor Who.
Listeners, don't be a playa-hater. Hate the game.
And if you hate the game, like, maybe find another. There are a lot of good games out there.
Right, there's like tons. I mean, I was going to talk about playing a few different games like in a few minutes here. So cool. How's it going, Kyle?
Pretty good. Originally I was planning on talking about some books I read recently, but then I said this is a Game Players podcast, so I will save the books I read recently for our next episode and instead talk about a game I played that I was going to talk about on the next episode.
Nice. Well, better write a note because 2 weeks, a lot can happen in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I have recently been playing a game called Cairn, as in like pile of rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically like rock climbing the video game, which is
cool,
pretty interesting and fun. The actual gameplay itself, I think, is a lot of fun. You are this character named Ava who wants to climb this mountain named Kami that nobody has ever successfully climbed to the peak before. So she wants to be like the first one. And, you basically like walk up to the next cliff face that you need to climb or whatever, and like press the button to start climbing on your controller. And she grabs it with one hand, and then the game, like, it lets you, when you're in climbing mode, you control like one limb at a time. And the game does kind of like auto selection for which limb you're going to move next. I guess based on like how much weight each limb is supporting and like what's stretched out too far and like that sort of thing or whatever. You can, if you want, like manually select a limb, but I found the automatic limb selection to be really good. I've very rarely had to manually select a different limb than the one it was picking for me.
Cool.
So you just kind of like, use your thumbstick on your controller to move that limb to like the next place you think there might be a good hold, and then press the button to place it, and it picks your next limb, and you reach for your next hold and keep going. So it's a little bit almost like QWOP, just in the sense of like one limb at a time. It's not like completely ridiculous and wild like QWOP is.
Right. But yeah, that was the first thing that came to mind was like the antics of QWOP.
So I mentioned like the gameplay I thought was pretty fun. I will say that a friend / coworker of mine who is an actual rock climber wasn't that into the gameplay. He was like, it's fine, but there are moves that she can't do. And he's like, it's kind of frustrating. I'd rather just like actually go rock climbing.
That's fair.
Like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, as a non-climber, it's a lot of fun, but I imagine it's probably similar to rock climbing in the same way that Guitar Hero is similar to actually playing a guitar, which is not very.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like Guitar Hero playing is more similar to drum playing.
Yeah, I think that I would agree with that.
But anyway, side tangent.
Yeah, so the gameplay is a lot of fun. The plot / story I wasn't really super into. I think I didn't quite really expect there to even be a story. I thought it was going to be more like, you go to a selection screen and you have like a dozen different cliffs or whatever that you can pick from, and you go climb it. And then it says, all right, you did that one. And then you go pick another one, or you try to beat your high score on the previous, like that sort of thing. But no, it's like an actual story about this woman, Ava, who wants to go climb Kami and like, you know, has to like deal with challenges or whatever along the way. And yeah, I kind of felt like Ava and the other character that you encounter a lot are both kind of assholes in different ways. And, you know, I don't really like playing an asshole that much.
Right.
And like, you know, she gets like some messages from people back home or whatever that she mostly just ignores. And you can tell that like her climbing obsession has kind of like fucked up all her personal relationships and shit.
Wow.
And also, slight content warning for anyone who might want to hear about this, that there are, I think, 2 or 3 different parts in like cutscenes and like story sequences that deal with illness and death of a family pet. So if that's something that you don't enjoy, then keep that in mind if you want to play this. So yeah, basically I haven't quite finished it yet. I probably have like maybe an hour of gameplay left before I get to the very top of the mountain and presumably the end of the game. So yeah, gameplay was a lot of fun. Story I wasn't really that interested in, and also felt kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, that's interesting that they, I guess, kind of went that direction. Like, it's pretty uncommon for a protagonist to be that like unlikable in a game.
Yeah, like she was pretty off-putting. Like, I have a really hard time skipping cutscenes, even if I don't care, because like I'm a completionist and like I want to know what happens in the story, even if I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah,
I think there was like one I skipped, but that was accidental.
See, yeah, that would bother me so bad. I hate accidentally skipping cutscenes.
But yeah, I am definitely not gonna get like 100% completion. Like by the time I finish, there are, you know, like a lot of, you know, hidden trinkets that you can collect, and like, you know, different encounters and experiences you can have that I missed. And I don't know whether I'll ever go back and replay it or not. But yeah, I have enjoyed most of the time I've spent with it so far.
Nice.
I did turn on a few of the assists. I will say there's one assist that gives you like visual feedback when the hold that you got is like a good stronghold. That piece of assistance was very helpful and useful to me. I also turned on the fall rewind assist and have made quite extensive use of that throughout the game.
Nice.
And then like just not very long ago, like right towards the very ending, I ended up having to turn on the, I think they call it the no survival assist, which is like you don't get hungry or thirsty or tired.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, throughout most of the game, you know, you're managing survival elements and like collecting food and refilling your water bottles and all that. But the point where I'm at now, like there is nothing to collect and no way to replenish any of your supplies. And I just got 2 lows. Like, all right, either I can turn on the no survival assist or I will die and never finish the game. So I turned it on.
Dang. So like, you know, without that assist, like, does she just die at or near the top?
Probably you could actually do it with better resource management than I did.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think at the point where I'm at, like either I could spend a few hours like backtracking and like trying harder to replenish my supplies, or I can turn on the assist, or I can die.
Yeah. And at that point, it's like, you want to keep having fun.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, that sounds very unique. Like, that's a very different gaming experience than almost anything else that I can think of.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I'd ever even really heard of a game like it before.
Yeah. That's cool. Super creative.
And I think my total gameplay is probably around 15-ish hours. I haven't actually checked, but I think probably somewhere in there. So it's not like super long, which I kind of like these days, having something that you can just like get through over the course of like a couple of weeks or whatever.
Yeah, that is nice. Yeah, like my brain gets bored with games a lot of times when they're too long, or just like not enough variants, or I don't know. Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, I do kind of want to check that out. That sounds very interesting. Yeah, I heard it discussed on a different podcast too, and they made it sound pretty fascinating as well. So yeah, that's cool.
What about you? You mentioned having some games to talk about as well.
Yeah, I've been playing mainly a couple different games. There's one that I can kind of jump in and out of. It does have a career mode, like a sort of storyline-esque mode, but you can also just kind of do, little bite-sized chunks of it. But it's called Half Sword.
Nice.
Like HALF sword. And the whole idea is, you're a medieval fighter type dude, and you're kind of like, at least in the progression mode, you're kind of like advancing through the ranks of, starting as like a peasant brawler, advancing to like a commoner, and then, like militia level, and then, like noble level fighting. And then I think knight is like the top level, which I'm not up to that yet. But, it's filled with, well, for one thing, you can just straight brawl with your fists and just like swing them like crazy. That's pretty much seems to be the strategy with fists in that game. But then, you've got like swords, and you've got axes, and you've even got like, little hand scythes and rakes and shovels and like a blacksmith's hammer, all the way up to like, a great axe or a spear or a long sword or a bastard sword or an arming sword, or, their shields and armor. And pretty much you have to like fight to get it all, to get the money to pay for them or take them off of people whose asses you've kicked.
Nice.
But the fun part of it is like, you can do it with mouse and keyboard or with controller. Probably mouse and keyboard is the more precise way, but I prefer controller. So it's like your movements on the controller control your movements of the weapon. So like I press, the L1 trigger to like bring my axe to the ready, and then I move my right thumbstick to the right, and he like cranks it back on his right side, and then I swipe it to the left, and he swipes the axe to the left.
Huh, that's cool.
Yeah, so there is like some technique you can learn, like especially when you're fighting like armored opponents, you don't a lot of times just want that straight right to left chop because it's just going to hit their breastplate or whatever.
Right.
Maybe you want like northeast to southwest to kind of get into that corner on their shoulder where their neck is, in between the breastplate and the helmet and like chop them there and, get into the chinks of the armor. Or, like aiming a stab at the face rather than the chest. Or, he's got a breastplate but no leg armor, swiping low to like knock out the legs and then, that kind of thing. And it's pretty fun. Like, it's cool actually learning the techniques of, fighting better and like getting better and better at it. You can win more battles and get more money and then buy cooler weapons and better armor and blah, blah, blah. And like, as you progress, there's different, it gives you different challenges. Like, you can do like duels where it's kind of like 3 to 5, just little one-on-one battles. They're usually pretty quick. But then you get like, it unlocks, like a riot type situation where you're kind of just in this medieval kind of, street or whatever. And there's 4 or 5 guys like running at you, like they all want to kill you. And, you're like the guy tasked with putting down the riot or whatever. And you got to kill them all not at the same time, but like they all want to get you at the same time. So you kind of have to like position and, conk one guy on the head and he might get up later because he's not all the way dead, but now you got to deal with the guy next to him and stuff like that. So yeah, nice. It's pretty fun. It's satisfying. It's pretty violent. You can like chop people's arms and legs off. If you get really lucky, you can decapitate them. There's a lot of blood. So, if you're not into that kind of thing, probably don't try the game. But it's satisfying when that happens.
It sounds like maybe kind of similar to Cairn just in terms of like precise limb control and stuff.
Yeah, in a way, yes. Like, yeah, because your controller movement or your mouse movement translates directly to, how your body in the game is moving. So yeah, like I've seen, videos of people that are really, really like into it, and it's almost always mouse and keyboard, and they will be like deflecting hits with their sword and looking for an opening and then stabbing when the opening comes. And like, I'm not that good. I just I like to bash away with my great axe.
Nice.
But yeah, it's cool. Like I figured out this thing on my own. I mean, it seems kind of obvious now based on the name of the game, but like, some guys coming at you with like a large flail or like, a staff or something, you get your axe in both hands and you can kind of hold it up and like catch his swing. And then, you just run up to him holding his weapon at bay and you can kind of just slice with your, the cutting edge or like smack him with the bottom part of the handle.
Nice.
And yeah, it's I was like, oh shit, that's why they do that. And, that's why it's called that, half sword, because that's that technique, is holding the sword, the blade of the sword in one hand, while the other hand is still on the handle.
Nice.
So yeah, that was cool. That's a fun game. It's still in early access, so I think probably the storyline maybe have... Oh yeah, one fun thing too is like, if you get killed, you can, in the progression mode, you can kind of come back, but you are sent to the abyss, where you wake up in this like dark kind of void place. You have to like climb out of this coffin, and you're there with whatever equipment you had. So like your armor and like whatever weapon you were last holding. And basically zombies of the people you've killed come at you and try to get you. And they're tough. Like they're more difficult than the people, kind of because they're less strategic and just more like wild coming at you. And they also want to bite you and chew you, which obviously the people don't do. But if you can defeat all of the angry spirits of the people you've killed, then you can come back to life and you've been cleansed or whatever. But if they get you, you just start over with a new character, and thankfully, like you're still in the same rank that you had achieved. You don't have to like go all the way back through everything, but you don't have the same gear,
right?
So that's a kind of a fun aspect of it. So yeah, it's been pretty satisfying. A few battles might take 15 minutes, or you really want to crank at the progression mode. It's still fun after a couple hours.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it is. It is cool. And then the other one I've been playing is Edmund McMillan's newest game, Mugenics. And it's also incredibly fun.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about that. I haven't checked it out yet, but that seems really neat.
Yeah, right. Edmund McMillan is famous for creating The Binding of Isaac, which was a fucking huge game.
Mm-hmm.
And just over time, they've kind of like revamped it in different ways. And like, it's not a totally different game from what it was when it started, but like it is very different. Like it's the same game, but there's like more stuff and like better mechanics and different combos and whatever. Like it's the same flavor of experience, but it's much deeper, kind of.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And that game, The Binding of Isaac, was supposed to be the practice game because he already had the idea of Mugenics. So they were like, let's kind of put out this roguelike. They keep saying roguelike, which I disagree with that use of the word, but whatever. Let's put out this roguelike random chance type game, The Binding of Isaac, to practice for this big game concept of Mugenics that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And Binding of Isaac just became huge. And so finally Mugenics is out. I think it's been in development for like 14 years or something to that effect.
Yeah, I think I heard something like that.
Yeah. And the main concept is you are a crazy cat person and you have many cats, and those cats sometimes breed and have babies, and the babies have some of the genetic aspects of the parent cats, which of course are, a D&D style stats pretty much.
Sure.
Not exactly the same, but very similar. And then with these cats that you have, you can put together a team of cats, up to 4, and assign each cat a different role, like fighter, mage, ranger, cleric, thief, necromancer. There's like lots of different classes you can assign to the cat.
Nice.
They each get their own, like it's a different color. Each one's a different color. And that each one gives them different abilities. And then you send your adventuring party of cats out on adventures to collect loot and battle bosses and discover new locations and stuff like that. And it's very fun. And one of the most interesting things about it is, like normally in an RPG like that, you want to get a little attached to the characters. Like they have to be cool. They have to say fun things and have cool abilities and stuff like that. Well, 90% of the game, and there are exceptions to this, but for the most part, once you've sent your cats out on an adventure, they retire after that. Like if they don't die, they retire and they don't adventure anymore. So it kind of forces you to like recycle them. And, which means like each different run is going to be different. You might choose a different combination of classes. You're definitely going to like see different things and get different power-ups and different, debuffs and stuff. And yeah, like apparently the game itself is like gigantic, and I think Edmund McMillan was saying in like an interview, it's like every 6 to 7 hours of gameplay or so, like you'll unlock something new. which sort of unlocks a whole new aspect of the game.
Oh, interesting.
And like that happens a bunch of times. Like it just keeps going and getting bigger and bigger and unlocking more and more. So yeah, apparently I haven't even seen, most of the game. I've been playing, I think 20 to 25-ish hours probably so far. But it's really, really fun. The tactics are awesome. Like the battles are very fun. The music is super fun. Each different boss battle, they have a recorded song that plays cool. Like about that battle or about that boss or whatever. And yeah, like all the cats, of course, meow, but it's people making the meow sounds. And nice. There must be like thousands of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like they're all so different. Like I came across one that like when it got hurt, he'd be like, "Oh shit, I mean, meow." Like, I haven't heard that happen again. Like I hope that one comes back around because that was really funny. Or they like sometimes, when you're in like the character selection screen or even during battles and whatnot, like the cats will kind of sing along to the music that's playing, but with meows. It's kind of obvious that they took the MIDI file from the music of the game and said, "Yeah, just play this with that meow."
Nice.
And they'll like meow along to the music. So very fun. Highly recommend it. A lot of like kind of 13-year-old boy style poop and fart jokes and stuff like that. So like one of my cats caught dysentery, and the effect of having dysentery was, I think about 50% of the time he would poop, and a flaming poop would shoot out behind him. And, if someone was standing there, like they would get injured and go on fire. Or if there was like grass, it would light the grass on fire and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of weird little combinations and stuff that plays off of other stuff that can be very fun or like hilariously detrimental. It's awesome.
Nice. Cool. Did you have any jokes for us today?
I do. Yeah. So one day, a family walks into a talent agency, and they're like, "Yeah, we have an act we'd like to present." And the talent agent says, "Like, I don't really sign family acts. I'm really sorry." And they're like, "No, please, please. Like, we know you'll like this. Please check out our act." The guy's like, "Okay." So they spring into action. The dad pulls out a coffee table, and the mom starts laying out saucers and teacups. The son places chairs around the table while a daughter starts serving blueberry scones. They proceed to enjoy a mid-morning tea and have polite conversation. They laugh and smile and bond as a family. When they finish their tea and scones, the agent asks, "That was interesting. What do you call your act?" The family replies, "The cocksucking motherfuckers."
Nice. Nice. A reversal of the famous aristocrats joke, of course.
Indeed, indeed. Found that to be clever.
Yeah, totally. Well, speaking of a bunch of cocksucking motherfuckers, shall we talk about Doctor Who?
Yes, let's do.
This is the 41st episode of season 4, the 5th episode of The Evil of the Daleks. And as with the rest of this serial, I've been watching the animated version available on YouTube. And we'll throw in another quick plug for the various browser extensions and whatnot that you can get to vastly improve your YouTube experience, mainly uBlock Origin.
Indeed.
And yeah, would you like to remind us what cliff we were dangling off of?
Yeah. So the Dalek experiment is ongoing, and they've kind of waylaid the doctor to help them. And what the experiment is putting Jamie through kind of a series of, I guess, stress tests, so to speak, to like record which emotions and human experiences he's having, to find the human aspect that allow humans to, to win against Daleks. And so Jamie thinks, well, he really is pretty much trying to track down and save Victoria of the Victorian era, who has been kidnapped by the Daleks. And he hooked up with my boy Kemmel, who's awesome. Which, by the way, I looked up what he looked like, and he looked just as cool as I expected.
Nice.
So, their relationship got off to kind of a rocky start, but now they're close, and Jamie and Kemmel are working together to track down Victoria, and they got pretty close in was it like the south wing of the mansion or something like that was like closed off?
Yeah.
And they did some pretty cool wrestling moves to like get around some of the Dalek guards. And they're about to, like, I think they thought they took out all the Daleks and they were about to go get Victoria, but then some Daleks emerged from right behind them that they didn't know they were in a certain room and came out, and now the Daleks are pretty much about to kick Jamie and Kemmel's ass again.
Yeah, pretty much. And we basically pick up right there where we left off with the Jamel ship, and these new Daleks show up in the room, and Jamie and Kemmel both just duck. And Daleks have like naturally pretty low passive perception, so just ducking seems to work, and the Daleks, I guess, don't notice them.
Nice. That's quite the way to get around last Cliff Dangler.
Jamie kind of like motions toward the rope that's nearby, and he and Kemmel, each silently take one end of the rope, and they basically pull it taut and use it to clothesline the mechanical beastie right through the weakened balcony railing into the room below.
Nice.
And yeah, once this Dalek is taken care of, they head into Victoria's room, or, the room where the Daleks are keeping Victoria. And she's delighted to see Kemmel. She obviously realizes that he and Jamie are here to rescue her. And Jamie and Kemmel build a barricade out of a bedstead and some heavy trunks. They like barricade the door closed. And Jamie introduces himself to Victoria and gives her handkerchief that he had found earlier.
Nice.
And we cut to one of the other rooms in the mansion where the doctor, famous teetotaler, is pouring himself a glass of wine.
Interesting.
Apparently, the teetotaling was only in the first Doctor era.
Oh, okay.
Terrell is there too, and the Doctor really tries to get Terrell to join him with the wine or with some food or something, but Terrell just really wants to be left alone.
Oh, how very unsociable.
Yes, possibly.
No doubt you will enjoy your libation in one of the other rooms.
Oh, no, thank you. I'm perfectly happy here, thank you. I'm perfectly happy.
So the doctor starts talking about how he's never seen Terrell eat or drink. Apparently neither has Waterfield. But Terrell just says that he dines alone. And the doctor kind of keeps pushing him on it. So Terrell takes a sword down from the wall. This whole mansion's got like decorative weapons just all over the place. So nice. Terrell takes a sword down from the wall and basically starts threatening the doctor with it. And the doctor pulls out a standard screwdriver to like parry the sword blade with.
Yeah, like, and that's totally not suspicious. Like, do not make me explain my eating habits. I will kill you. Like, geez, dude.
Yeah.
Relax.
Dude just like really wants to be left alone.
Yeah.
So the doctor's, kind of like basically acting like a kid playing sword fights with, his standard screwdriver versus an actual sword. But as they do this, the screwdriver seems to cling to the sword blade as if the sword is magnetic. But then when Terrell drops the sword to the ground, the magnetism seems to end.
Now, if I didn't know better, Mr. Terrell, I'd say that you were full of some sort of electricity.
Oh, interesting.
Before Terrell can really reply to this, Waterfield enters the room, telling the doctor that he's wanted. So the doctor turns to go with him, and as he leaves, Terrell's like,
Doctor, no doubt you're a keen student of human nature, but some things are better left alone.
But the doctor says,
No, Mr. Terrell, I am not a student of human nature. I am a professor of a far wider academy, of which human nature is merely a part. All forms of life interest me.
I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah. Nice character building.
Yeah, totally. So the doctor leaves with Waterfield. Then Terrell pours himself a glass of wine. But before he can drink it, he gets one of his headaches that he's been getting, and he hears a Dalek voice repeating the word in his head.
And this is the first time we've seen or heard like what's happening in his head during the headaches, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is Operative 23 sending a message from Resistance Outpost Alpha Charlie Alpha Bravo. I have a critical request which will help bolster the strength of our resistance forces. You must recommend the Doctor's Watcher to everyone you know. Friends, family, co-workers, even the person you sometimes see on the bus. This is the only way for our people's movement to succeed. Share the podcast and leave good reviews. If you do not do this, we will be forced to resort to...
Back up in Victoria's cell, I guess, Jamie's asking her about how she came under the power of the Daleks. And she's like, oh, that's a different serial. This one's the evil of the Daleks.
Nice.
But she actually doesn't remember. All she remembers is being told to walk somewhere and just kind of like mindlessly obeying. And then later she remembers waking up in the room that the Daleks were keeping her in. She thinks that before that she was reading a book, but she was too worried about her dad to really concentrate on her book, and then she just kind of fell asleep. So all this information leads Jamie to surmise that she was maybe drugged. which then further implies that the Daleks have someone in the house helping them out. Over elsewhere in the mansion, Maxtable has Molly the maid in a room. Terrell is in the back of the room watching, and Maxtable is using basically a jewel on a cord that he's swinging back and forth in order to hypnotize Molly. And he tells her that she has been dreaming that the house has mysteries and that she heard Victoria's voice, but that it was all in her imagination. He basically instructs her to go to her room and lay down and forget about her suspicions. And he wakes her up from the hypnotism and she leaves. And Terrell's like, oh, cool. I didn't know you could hypnotize people. And Maxtable's like,
how else do you suppose that I persuaded Victoria to go to the Daleks?
Huh. I found it super disappointing as a kid that you can't just hypnotize people by swinging a watch on a chain or whatever in front of their face.
Yeah, it never actually seemed to work.
Right.
So Terrell starts getting another headache. He asks Maxtable to help him, and Maxtable says that he can only help him if Terrell obeys him. So Terrell says that he obeys their masters, by which, of course, he means the Daleks. And Maxtable is like,
I prefer to call them our colleagues. It is their wish that you should obey me.
So he sends Terrell through a secret passageway to the south wing of the mansion, tells him to find Victoria and bring her to him. And Terrell starts getting another headache. He hears the Dalek voice telling him to obey. So he does. He heads on through the passageway. And we cut over to the laboratory where the doctor is showing Waterfield a device. It's a little cylinder. It's probably about half the size of a cigar. And it's this metallic cylinder with circuitry and lights and shit. And apparently it's a positronic brain containing a bunch of Jamie's emotions.
Oh, cool.
The human factor.
Well, a part of it at least, the better part. Courage, pity, chivalry, friendship, even compassion. Some of the virtues.
Okay.
And apparently the doctor has 3 of these positronic brains. He's got them all ready for the 3 not yet activated Daleks that are in crates, basically. And then another Dalek comes through the mirror portal cabinet to check on the doctor's progress. And he tells him that he's almost ready. The Dalek basically just warns him to be careful and then leaves. And Waterfield tries to talk the doctor out of completing the experiment before it's too late. But the doctor's just like,
it was too late when they took away your daughter. It was too late when you stole my TARDIS and lured me to this house in this century.
Yeah.
So yeah, Waterfield is pretty worried about the Daleks turning into super beings if the doctor gives them the human factor or whatever. But the doctor doesn't seem to think it's certain that that will happen. He's pretty focused on just trying to save Victoria and Jamie. But Waterfield's like,
and sacrifice a whole world. A history, past, present, and future. Destroy an entire race.
Yes, I don't think you quite realize what you're saying, but yes, it may come to that. It may very well come to that.
Wait, how? Yeah, I'm not sure how that would, an entire history? Is he saying they would go back in time and enslave all of humanity forever from the beginning?
I think that's what Waterfield is worried about. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's ever any dialogue or implication that like that is actually the Daleks' plan, or if that's just what Waterfield is thinking. But yeah, okay. I think that's what he's worried about.
Okay, fair enough. That's just I just didn't remember like that ever being the implication.
Yeah,
but all right, I he's not unreasonable, I guess, but like no one had ever mentioned that before.
Yeah, and then of course the Doctor is implying that like if it comes down to it, he might be willing to genocide the Daleks.
Yeah. Which, yeah, anyway.
Meanwhile, Jamie is telling Victoria all about how he and Kemel clotheslined the Dalek into the fire earlier. And some weird liquid starts seeping under the door barricade that the Jemel ship set up. Kemel feels the door and it's hot. So Jamie figures that the Daleks are probably trying to melt through the door, which seemed weird because I'm pretty sure it was a wooden door, but...
Yeah, strange.
He and Kemel start piling more boxes in front of it. I guess they're just like, let's make the barricade bigger, I guess. But while they're distracted doing this, a secret passage opens in the wall behind Victoria, and Terrell grabs her and pulls her into the passage and closes it. Jamie and Kemel, a moment later, notice that Victoria is gone. And meanwhile, Victoria bites Terrell's hand that's covering her mouth, which frees up her mouth to then shout for Jamie. He hears her and immediately realizes that there must be another way out of the room. So he and Kemel start rolling investigation checks. Kemel hits a nat 20 and just immediately finds the button to press that opens the secret passageway. So he and Jamie rush through it, and they close the passageway just as the Daleks burst through the barricade into the room.
Nice.
So Kemel and Jamie proceed through the passageway. They eventually come to a split, basically, and they have two different directions that they can go in that they have to choose between. And they actually end up deciding to split the party, basically. So Jamie goes one way and Kemel goes the other way. Jamie tells him, like, you know, if you reach a dead end or whatever, or like if you find Terrell or Victoria or anything, like, come get me or whatnot. And so they each go down their different passages. Jamie ends up encountering Terrell and sword fights him. And this sword fight goes on for quite a while. This was actually kind of making me wish that we had the real episode instead of just an animation. But I will say that, like, the animated sword fight was still pretty cool and fun. You know, definitely a step up from like loose cannon reconstruction of a sword fight.
Yeah, it seems like in this serial they've been putting in a lot of like pretty good action sequences.
Yeah, definitely. I think this would be a really fun serial to eventually find and restore.
Cool.
So they sword fight for a while. He and Terrell are both actually pretty good sword fighters, and they're pretty evenly matched. And eventually the DM realizes just how evenly matched they are and is like, shit, this combat's gonna go on like forever. So suddenly two NPCs show up, Ruth Maxtable and Molly the Maid. And Ruth immediately sends Molly to go fetch the doctor, and then she starts like imploring Terrell to stop fighting because, you know, she wanted Jamie and Terrell to be friends, basically.
Nice.
Terrell starts getting a headache, and he drops his sword and kind of collapses to the ground just as the doctor enters the room with Molly the maid.
I can't understand it. Just come on.
So I think maybe the doctor thought that Jamie, like, killed Terrell or something.
And Ruth is like, no, that was the ship I wanted to have.
Uh-huh.
That was the ship I was rooting for, and now it's over.
No, Jarrell is sinking. The doctor reaches into Terrell's jacket and he pulls out a black box with lights and wires and shit. And he's like, yep, this is apparently some kind of Dalek control device. So he tells Ruth that, like, if she truly cares for Terrell, which she does, to take him as far away from this mansion as she can get. And he sends the two of them off to the stables. But before he leaves the room, Terrell says that he thinks he hurt Victoria Waterfield somehow. And the doctor is just kind of like reassuring him, like, no. Victoria is totally safe and fine and well. And he basically, like, urges Terrell to GTFO. And he does. He and Ruth leave. And as soon as they're gone, Jamie's like,
Well, that's fine for Ruth Maxwell, but you lied about Victoria.
Yes, Jamie. And we must turn that lie into a truth.
Meanwhile, Kemel has followed his branch of the secret passageway into the laboratory, which is empty at the moment, other than Victoria's unconscious body, which is just, like, on the floor for some reason. So he starts looking at her and examining her. He doesn't notice the Dalek that has rolled up behind him until the Dalek orders him to turn around and pick Victoria up.
Oh.
The Dalek has to repeat itself a couple of times. Like, Kemel's not too keen to do what it says, but you know, after a few repetitions, he does do it, and thus avoids getting film negativized himself. So nice. He picks Victoria up, and he continues to follow the Dalek's orders as it tells him to basically take her through the mirror portal cabinet. So he does.
So that would take them back to the future then, right?
We don't know where the mirror portal cabinet goes, because they had, like, the weird kind of two arm devices that they were using as their time traveler.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Huh. Okay.
So a few moments after Kemel and Victoria and the Dalek all leave, Jamie and the doctor arrive in the laboratory. And Jamie's still pissed at the doctor. You know, he thinks that the doctor is possibly collaborating with either the Daleks or Maxtable or both. And, you know, he heard them talking about basically setting him up to do some shit or whatever. So he thinks that the doctor is acting very callous and doesn't care about anybody but himself. But the doctor disagrees.
I care about life. I care about human beings. Do you think I let you go through that Dalek test lightly?
I don't know. Did you? Look, Doctor, just whose side are you on?
And just then, the three not yet activated Daleks activate, and they roll on out of their storage crates and just kind of start, like, rolling around, driving around the room as the doctor and Maxtable explain to Jamie, like, what the experiment was, and that these 3 Daleks all have the human factor in them now.
Awesome.
And yeah, this, they explain for a moment as the Daleks kind of roll around, and then one of the Daleks like bumps into the Doctor, and this kind of like gets the Doctor kind of standing up on the front lip of the Dalek instead of like getting knocked over. He kind of like gets onto the Dalek. And the Dalek starts rolling away. The Doctor's pretty concerned at first, asking it like where it's taking him, but he pretty quickly realizes that it's not actually taking him like anywhere in particular.
Jamie, they're taking me for a ride. Jamie, they're playing a game. It's a game. They're taking me for a ride.
Awesome.
So he starts like laughing in glee and joy and delight. And as he laughs, the music starts to play and the words say Doctor Who Patrick Troughton.
Nice. Yep, I've been very excited to see what would happen when the Daleks with the human factor woke up. Cool.
Yeah, apparently he's created game-playing Daleks.
Right, that's what you want. Yeah, and another thing that strikes me, I feel like maybe I've mentioned this before, I'm not sure, but the Daleks really are quite stealthy. Like, they can just roll up behind you without you knowing necessarily.
Yeah, that seems to happen a lot.
Right.
Like,
and, I'm sure it's not just like kind of silly TV show making. It's that they're very stealthy.
Yeah, they might have very low passive perceptions, but they have very high natural stealth.
Right. Like they're well lubricated, no squeaks or clicks or whatever when they roll around. Like very soft rubber on those wheels.
You kind of have to wonder like how often they don't even notice each other.
Yeah.
I did not see you there. Oh, hey, Jerry. I thought I was alone in the room. Did I just see you reading Play Dalek? Knock next time.
Play Dalek would probably just be filled with like descriptions of, I don't know, conquests and stuff like that. Awesome. Well, even though the serial is called The Evil of the Daleks, it sounds like there's a chance that we have some good Daleks on our hands.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. I can't wait to see what happens with these new ones.
Yeah, totally. There was one minor thing I wanted to note about this episode, which is that, I often call out like when the animation does something different than the original episode. And in the very last scene, the transcript that I always follow along with talks about the Daleks pushing around like a rolly chair, basically like an office chair, and giving the Doctor a ride on the chair. But there's no chair in the animation. He's just riding like on the Dalek itself.
I wonder why the difference, because the chair sounds pretty fun too.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was kind of an interesting difference. No idea why they didn't animate the chair.
Yeah, maybe they were just like, shit, you guys, like, I didn't want to tell you this, but like, chairs are the thing I draw the worst. Like, I just never got past the chair lesson in art school. Really sorry, guys. Like, can we just cut that out?
Those like rolly office chairs, like mine just look like shit.
Right. I was trying to draw a chair and everyone thought it was actually a giraffe. Like, can't do it. Well, that's cool. That's yet again another pretty exciting episode. Fun combat moves. Interesting at the end where, Jamie's still kind of like distrustful of the Doctor. I guess kind of understandably, but it's like, come on, dude, you know the deal. Like, get with the program.
Yeah.
You can trust the Doctor. Like, stop forgetting.
Yeah, like he's been with the Doctor for a little while now. Like,
right, like through many adventures. So, but yeah, it kind of lends a little bit of fun drama. He's got his new love interests, and kind of has, maybe some people to be interested in besides just the Doctor, the only constant throughout all these adventures. So
yeah, totally.
I guess he can afford to get a little bit pissy with the Doc every now and again.
Yeah, and like if the Doctor gets too annoyed with him and like abandons him in the Victorian era, then he can just hang with Kennel.
Right. Like, sounds like a pretty good life. Doing cool wrestling moves and broing around. Well, cool. Any other notes about this episode?
Nope, that was all I had.
All right. Well, I'd like to take this chance as an opportunity to remind our users to clothesline 5 stars and body slam that like button and suplex the subscribe button, and also use your best wrestling announcer voice to recommend this podcast to your friends and family.
Indeed. 4 out of 5 podcast listeners respond better to wrestling voices.
Right. And no one really gives a shit about that 5th one.
Yeah,
anyway,
like who wants the 5th person's downloads anyway?
Right. Well, cool. Can't wait to see what happens in 2 weeks when we get to spend more time with our humanified kind of Daleks.
Indeed. Find out what parts of Daleks are evil and what parts are good.
Right. I mean,
yeah, if that's from the humans.
Quite frankly, I'm a little sad that they didn't extract the human quality of farting, because clearly the Daleks lack that. And that's what's obviously the problem.
Yeah, when the Doctor was listing all the different aspects he extracted, he never mentioned like bathroom humor. Right. That seems like a critical thing to me, but that's just my opinion. All right. Well, tune in 2 weeks to find out if the Daleks figure out farting from, maybe it's like something they could learn through deduction from the other human factors. Oh, that could be, yeah. Indeed, yeah. Come back in 2 weeks to find all about how the Daleks learn to fart. And
sounds good.
Then they will truly be evil.
Right. You thought the static was bad. Wait till they have gas. All right. Bye.
Cool. Bye.
Well, Jamie, the experiment's nearly over.
I've had no sleep. I've been up all night. But it's been worth it.
Oh, don't touch me.
Oh, no, what's the matter?
Anyone would think this was a little game.
No, it is not a game.
Of course it isn't, Doctor. People have died. The Daleks are all over the place, fit to murder the lot of us. And all you can say is about a good night's work.
Jamie.
No, Doctor. Look, I'm telling you this. You and me, we're finished. You're just too callous for me. Anything goes by the board. Anything at all.
That's just not true, Jamie. I've never held that the end justifies the means.
Oh, words, what do I care about words? You don't give that much for a living soul except yourself.
I care about life. I care about human beings. Do you think I let you go through that Dalek test lightly?
I don't know. Did you? Look, Doctor, just whose side are you on?